Hey everyone, Nick Griot from Griot's Garage, and today we're going to talk about increasing your visibility, which is even more critical during the wet and dark winter months that we're experiencing right now. This process involves multiple steps, which we're going to walk through with you. It all starts with a pretty basic cleaning of both the interior and exterior glass surfaces. Then we're going to decontaminate our exterior glass, polish it, and then seal it to lock in our newfound visibility for months to come. This process not only improves your vision, it reduces your dependency on wiper blades and allows them to work more efficiently when you do need them. It also reduces the risk of water spots. After we've done all the preparatory work, we will replace our windshield wipers with a new set, and that will give us as clean of a slate as possible for as high a visibility as possible in these winter months. It's also important to note that we will be focusing on the windshield, but this process should be done on all of your windows and glass surfaces. So we're going to jump right into this process and clean the exterior glass surfaces using our ultra premium glass cleaner or our original formula window cleaner using a fresh, dry microfiber towel. I like to use our PFM dual weave glass towel for all of my glass cleaning. When you're cleaning your interior or exterior glass, work in one type of directional motion. I usually go laterally when I clean the interior glass, and then I go vertically on the exterior glass. So if I do leave any streaks behind in this cleaning process, I can tell whether I messed up cleaning on the inside or the outside based upon the direction of those streaks. Once I've cleaned the glass sufficiently, it's time to decontaminate the exterior glass. You can use any of our surface prep tools or glass cleaning clay for this process. Additionally, you don't have to worry about choosing a specific grade of our surface prep tools, as glass is not susceptible to marring like some softer paints. To decontaminate the glass, simply lubricate the surface with speed shine and be sure you cover the entire window. Work the decontaminating tool of your choice over the surface of the glass and dry the glass off with an absorbent towel and check for contaminants. If the glass is smooth to the touch, it's time for the next step, which is polishing. I'm going to use our fine glass polish paired with two orbitals, a 3-inch for framing the edges and a 6-inch for the balance of the glass polishing process. I'm outfitting each machine with glass polishing pads. These pads use synthetic rayon fibers and are integral to the polishing process as they are hard enough to remove imperfections such as water spots, light scratches, and any rubber pattern buildup from wiper blade degradation. Don't use a foam pad that's intended for paint, as they aren't firm or abrasive enough to deliver the results we're after. To start, I'm going to frame the exterior of the windshield with the smaller machine and then swap up to the bigger 6-inch orbital for the balance of the polishing. This is to make sure that I don't run those hard glass polishing pads into any sensitive adjacent surface. Another way to do this is to do some preparatory taping around the edges of the glass and use only one machine, preferably the larger 6-inch, to work with some speed. This may be the right process for you if you have a softer trim piece such as a rubber gusset that borders your windshield or a sensitive chrome trim piece on an older vehicle. I'm going to use the standard polishing technique that we teach. Butter the pad with fine glass polish, spread the product out at a low speed setting, especially if you're using the 2 orbital technique for framing, and set the machine at speed 2 to 3. Once the product is spread out or your edges are established, then turn the orbital up to a higher speed, speed 4 to 6, to work that polish in using the familiar crosshatch pattern. If you see the polish starting to clarify and flash or dry up, stop and add a drop or two of fine glass polish as necessary. Complete 3 to 5 passes, assess your work, and repeat the process until you're happy with the glass. Now it's important to keep in mind that you will not be able to remove deep, tangible scratches with this process. In fact, there are very few ways to remove deep scratches without jeopardizing the safety of your glass and yourself. Bottom line, the techniques displayed here will remedy most maladies that you're seeing in your glass and dramatically improve wet weather visibility. Once we've worked the section or window and we're happy with our results, we can do a final prep step and strip the surface down with the same glass cleaner we used earlier and see what our glass is looking like. Sure enough, that looks pretty darn good and it feels squeaky clean, which to me is a good sign that we removed any old sealant or rubber residue left by old windshield wipers, and I'm not seeing any water spots either. Since there's nothing on the surface that would prevent adhesion, it's time to apply our glass sealant. This product is designed to help bead water and sheet it off your glass surface, which will reduce the water's tendency to bond and obscure your view. You can use this on all glass surfaces, including your rear view camera and glass headlights, although glass headlights are very uncommon nowadays. Most modern headlights are plastic, and we do not recommend glass sealant for plastic headlights. To use glass sealant, pour the sealant onto a less expensive microfiber towel, as sometimes the product can gum up microfiber, so you don't want to use one of your expensive towels for this process. I use a multi-purpose utility towel and simply spread the product in straight lines over the entirety of the surface. I usually go back to the old faithful crosshatch pattern to make sure I don't miss a spot. Once you've covered the surface, let it set up for about 15 to 20 minutes. If you're working in colder conditions, you may need to let it cure for about 30 to 45 minutes. Once the first coat is cured, apply a second coat right over the first without wiping off. Apply as before and allow the sealant to cure. This is usually a good time to do the rest of the windows. Once you've allowed the proper amount of time to pass and the sealant looks hazy, it's time to wipe off the excess product, revealing a perfectly clean, sealed, and reset windshield. The last step is putting on new windshield wipers. This is going to ensure that the surface I just created by leveling the glass out by polishing and applying glass sealant will be perfectly mated to a set of fresh wiper blades. This should reduce both the need for excessive wiper use and also prevent that annoying chattering and squeaking effect that can be caused by old, broken down wiper blades. So it's beneficial to do it all at the same time. Once you cross the finish line, your windshield and other glass surfaces should sheet water like a beaver pelt. So when you're cruising down the freeway at 60 miles an hour, it's going to feel like you're jumping into hyperspace as the droplets rush up and over the top of your car. Visibility is key, and cleaning windows and glass is one of those things that just seems to get neglected. But this time of year, it's so important that you do everything you can to improve your outward visibility as much as possible. And these simple steps will help ensure you enjoy safe motoring through the winter months, and it's quite a satisfying feeling to constantly be reminded of how clean your glass is when you aren't fighting glare at night and are rarely reaching down to manage your wiper speed. Thank you for watching. For more information on this winter visibility reset process or any of the items I use individually, be sure to visit griotgarage.com. And as always, have fun in your garage.